All right, I think that we should be live. Welcome to the chat, everyone. Hopefully, you're able to join us tonight live, and if not, hopefully, you'll be able to tune in on a replay or on the podcast. And yeah, hopefully, you guys are liking Axie Chat because we're doing a bit of it, huh?
What are we? We were talking about it a minute ago. What are we on episode 13 now? It's technically 12. Well,
Technically
tw
13, I guess, but
12
12
on
of
Tuesday nights.
yeah,
Yeah.
12 of our
Yep.
regular Luna's Lounge edition.
Dude, I
So
am
yeah.
close to the camera. This is weird. I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, welcome back, everybody. Yeah, if you guys weren't involved or didn't catch our kind of surprise Saturday stream this last week with Psych Out, go back and check that out. We had a great session with him. Got a lot of I guess items clarified. No
Yeah.
real leaks, I wouldn't say. But he really dove deep into a lot of different items, and we've gotten some good feedback from that. So again, thank you, Psych Out, for jumping on and just talking to us for a little bit.
Yeah, it was great to have Psych out for sure. It was fun to just hear it right from, the mouth of the team and kind of get some insights that way for sure. Psych out does a great job of explaining things too and explaining his thought process. It was interesting. I've heard people say like he just said, believers, 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 we need believers. And everybody's here is certainly a believer and excited about it, but I get it. Like we're passionate about this, and we're excited to have more people passionate about Axie Infinity as well. Excited to have an opportunity to talk about this. I do love Ed is in the chat. I saw that. I love the stuff he's putting out on the Chimera Tribune. I
Yeah.
think Enjoi, I speak for you as well, that we just want to see more Axie Infinity content in general. Like we're happy to do this. We're having a great time, but we like consuming Axie Infinity information and materials as well, right, man?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Nothing really to add on to there. What I was kind of going to add into what you were saying was, we kind of keep seeing this steady growth trend week over week over week, and this is something that I want to touch on at some point today. I think you've got a slide up of, kind of that leads me into it, so
Yeah.
I'll hold off.
Okay.
But we keep seeing all these extra people coming into chat, and definitely more and more people that I'm not familiar with who are taking up roles in Discord and kind of leading the community, answering questions when even newer people come in and, just being all around helpful. Same thing with the scholarship. I'm seeing people that are taking part in scholarships. They don't even own their Axies,
Right.
and they're helping out. So, we're seeing a lot of cool stuff, and I've seen a lot of new content creators as well. Um, yeah, we'll just have to see what lies ahead.
Yep. Hey, also just wanted to thank Britt for that gift sub. That was hilarious. I know Jiho needs it, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're able to sub for him, and I think that actually put him as the raid boss up on the little raid boss icon.
Yes.
So yeah, congrats on being the raid boss for a minute, Jiho. All right, well, yeah. So let's get into it. There is some good stuff to talk about, and hey, Jiho, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, wow.
Good to have you here. Um, so yeah, we still do have a lot of news in the Axie space. And what's crazy about this is it's just been a couple days, right, since we talked with Psych Out. So there's still some things that happened even in that short period of time, and it's worth talking about. We did get the new charts that we like to go through from Non Fungible, and again, it's going to be a repeat of the past, but again, that's just great to see. It's great to see the trend line happening, right?
Well, the gap's even wider than last week and the week before and the week before. We're just I think you said dominating last week, and that's really what it is. Again,
Crushing.
we'd like
We are
yeah,
crushing.
we'd like to see some of these other projects closing the gap. It's one of those cases of rising tide lifts all boats, or whatever the heck that phrase
Right.
is.
Yep.
So I'd love to see some new projects up on the leaderboard with us. My crypto heroes has kind of come back from the dead. They were pretty hot 2 or 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
they're up there. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a few new projects popping up.
Well, what's incredible too is how these different projects have the capability of kind of blending into each other. I know that there's going to be some issues with Ronin and bridging assets, and I don't know for sure how all that's going to be worked out. But I have confidence in our team that they'll be able to do that. But it'd be super cool to see implementation of CryptoKitties in some way inside of Luna's Landing or something like that. I just think sky's the limit when all this stuff goes. And so, yeah, you know, as the tide rises, it does lift all ships. And so I think that is a good thing. So this
Yeah,
is, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to point out on the right hand pane the DApp active addresses. You know, three of these projects now, Axie Infinity, the Sandbox, and My Crypto Heroes all have. As of last week, I think My Crypto Heroes launched their governance token. So I'm wondering if, you know, as these projects start integrating these governance tokens, they'll start popping up more frequently over, you know, Unstoppable Domains and the Ethereum name service, just because they're being used more frequently in conjunction with those tokens. You know, the wallets are being used more frequently.
Right.
I don't know, just something to keep on top of over the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely stacked my ENS, which I am glad to have, and I assume I will hang on to. It's fun to be able to refer to yourself on the Ethereum chain just as a word, a name. All
What
right,
is
and
it, baronar.eth?
baronar.eth, yep.
There you
If AK's here, it's actually baronar.eth.
go.
Oh, hey, AK is here. Anyway, got an LOL out of him. Okay, so again, looking at the USD charts, again, domination, Axie Infinity at the top of each of these. It's just awesome. Thanks again, Britt. You're so great to support our channel. And then we've got volume, and the volume's just killing it. Like this chart actually blows my mind. When you look at transactions, that just shows activity, you know. And again, there's lots of things happening. There's breeding, there's acquiring SLP, there's, you know, all sorts of things happening here. And I don't know if SLP is it's certainly sinking would count as a transaction there. I would
Sure.
imagine.
Yep.
But so, you know, that just shows the health and the robustness of our game on the chain. Like that's neat to see. You know, some people might kind of boohoo that and say, well, gee, you're just doing all sorts of stuff. Well, that just means there's a ton of people that are active doing stuff inside of the wallets, right? And that means that it's worth doing, because people aren't going to mess around with their assets. They're not going to have transactions if there isn't some value or some reason to actually go through that.
Sure.
Especially,
And
yeah.
I was just going to lay this out for the people listening at home, maybe tomorrow or the next day on the podcast. So what we're looking at is volume sales, and Axie Infinity has almost 10,000 sales over the last week. So Rare has 3,500. So again, we're about triple the next runner up. And then you come to the DApp transactions, where Axie Infinity has 66,000 transactions over the last week. CryptoKitties has 7,000 in second
Almost 10
place. So
times.
almost 10 times. Yeah, it's insane. Again, just wanted to let the people at home know what we're talking about here.
Right. So yeah, again, these are these charts that are showing us the volume and so forth for just activity. So on Saturday, for us, I think it was Saturday night for Psych Out as well. We had Alex, but one of the things I wanted to point out as we're kind of rolling through this, and I've just got a slide up here that is kind of dedicated to Alex, and he put out something on Twitter that if you haven't checked it out, like, you need to pull up your Twitter, make sure you're following Psych Out Alexander, and read through it. Because yeah, it's short. It was just kind of a six part tweet, but it was powerful. I mean, the six parts of it were very powerful. I saw that he was kind of directing it specifically to members of the cryptocurrency space. You know, I think he was kind of saying, like, if you're not paying attention to us, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah. And you know what? I've got it up right here. I can just read through it real quick again for the people
Yeah,
listening at home.
great.
So again, 6-part tweet, pretty quick. Axie Infinity is more than a game at this point. It's also a social place where you meet your friends and like-minded people, and a job platform. This has huge implications. A new digital nation is forming, and access is the heart of it. As a job platform, players are extrinsically motivated to play for rewards. This has led to businesses or scholarships forming, aka a little nod to you, and a lot of the other people on here too, where players hire other players to grind SLP for them. He's even seen a work contract related to SLP farming, which I think is Benjamin's program. On the intrinsic, man, I can't talk today. On the intrinsic motivation side, we can see players purchasing very expensive Axies for up to $130,000 without a clear path to ROI. So he kind of specifically calls out that, right now the future is a little unclear for the collectible side of things. But then goes on to say these players can see the prestige in owning something that is truly rare in a new world. And again, compared to something where like Pokemon cards or baseball cards or whatever, you really don't know how many are out there. And actually, I'm clarifying without going on to read, but
Yeah,
he
no,
he
it's
kind of
great.
says that. He says next, it is even more real than luxury goods in real life because it can be digitally verified on the blockchain. Does anyone really know how many Black Lotuses exist? A little nod to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Black Lotuses were a very expensive, very rare card that was eventually banned in tournament play, or how many Rolex watches there are out there. We need more transparency. Everyone's dreaming of how blockchain technology will impact the real world, but the current system is stacked against us. There's no incentive for the stakeholders to change before they are forced to. This is why we'll see innovation happen in blockchain games first. Um, Basically offers fractionalized ownership of assets. Your salary can be streamed to you and you can work when you want. DAO entities operating based on smart contract frameworks with clear goals. The future is unfolding before your eyes. Um, and yeah, I agree with you. This is it's just a post on Twitter, so it's hard to call it a huge post, but
Yeah.
compared to the current system and where we're heading, Axie technically already offers all these things.
Right.
It's just kind of waiting for people to realize that it's out there. And again, I think you've got some slides coming up that are gonna lay this out a little bit better. But you're seeing all these people from I don't know, various countries utilizing these scholarship programs to access this kind of digital work. And it has really cool implications.
Sorry, Duckface just showed up in the chat.
Yes,
Duckface
Duckface
58.
58.
Yes. Right on. Right on.
Good thing Alex isn't here. That's all I gotta say.
That is so classic. Oh, I freaking love it. Oh, so good. Well, Duckface, welcome. You're gonna turn the tide. Psych out dissed on you, but here you are showing up for Axie. Yeah, so that was just a hilarious part of it. But again, like, it's not huge in length, but what he put out there, it reminds me a lot of some of the declarations, to be honest, that Jiho has put out there on Twitter and in other spaces that I completely get behind. Like, this is a new digital nation. It has, so one of the things that we're going to talk about, like, right away, is that it comes with its bumps too. It comes with its concerns. If you look to an analogy of a new nation being set up, and you look to the United States, for example, not everything was smooth and not everything went well. I mean, I think everybody got behind Jefferson's Declaration of Independence in the United States. They thought that sounded awesome, and most of the founding fathers were like, "Right on, we're behind that." But then they come to the Constitution, and that is a whole different thing, right? So I think we're hearing some of these. Sorry, I'm reading chat. I should not read chat while I'm talking. But we see some of these great declarations, right? But we are going to have kind of the Constitution. And maybe the white paper is a little bit like that, although that's just Axis itself, right? We've got the TOS. Yeah, go ahead, man.
You're laughing because you're reading chat. I'm laughing because you're comparing Alex's Twitter rant to the Constitution.
Well, dude,
maybe it is a declaration.
I'm telling you, like, if this is a new nation,
oh my god,
and maybe I'm overstating it, and I'm fine with that. I could be way overstating the importance here, but I may be understating the importance. This has not happened before. This does not exist right now. Like, the idea that there's a digital nation that has its own economy that also relates to other economies that exist already in other countries around the world and other cryptocurrency existences as well. So yeah, again, maybe I'm overstating all this. Maybe this is just going to be a game. But
Well,
Brookhawk says, Baronar, are you Thomas Paine? But I'm saying, like, I don't know how this all goes. Or everybody that's early in the community can play kind of that role to some extent in shaping how this goes. And a DAO, the DAO type of setting, allows for that to happen. And I do have a slide about, and it's one that I used with Psych Out, but we didn't get to talk about it a lot. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But it's gonna, and we don't need to have Alex up here this whole time while we're talking about it. So anyway, let's go to the bumps. Okay. So pulling up this slide, the ban hammer came down strong today. And, there was a little video that was showing some people multi-boxing. I'm not even really applicationing the game, like 4, 5, 6 things of Axie Infinity on the screen where they're clearly, just mining away. And I had talked about, I think in Discord, about how this could be seen as a new, unique way to mine a token, kind of along the lines of, Bitcoin mining, and how that all initially started with the programs that allowed people to, mine the cryptocurrency. That was brand new. Then Litecoin used a script and they kind of changed how that was going. That was kind of a new innovation, just changed it to kind of encourage or discourage ASIC stuff at the time, application specific mining. And, here we have kind of a ultimate human engagement proof for mining a token. It happens to be SOP right now.
I don't know if you were in chat yesterday, but somebody made a very similar statement that playing Axie was very similar to mining Bitcoin, and the comparison was that, okay, so yes, it's a human that's mining the blocks instead of a machine that's trying to find the next block first. But there's still that little bit of randomness, right? Your attacks might not hit just right; they might crit. There's randomness about the opponent that you go up against. So there's still kind of all those. I don't know. It's a hard comparison to make, but there's still a lot of those same original themes exist in this method compared to, I don't know how it was.
Well, again,
11 years ago.
I was involved in some of the mining early. And, it got frustrating because people who had better capabilities to mine, bigger mining pools or more video cards or getting the first ASICs or developing those first ASICs, they had a major advantage, And if they really can get this such that the play to earn is really, a per human kind of thing, it takes away some of those advantages that come with, better technology, better processing, thinner transistor chips, or all the things that come with technology. Instead, this really becomes, what can you do as a human to actually earn this token? I don't know. It's maybe it's all just kind of a side issue. It's going to be interesting.
I'm going to extrapolate this out even a little bit further, because back then the main problem was they didn't have pools right away, right? You couldn't pool your mining powder, so it was whoever found the block first got the rewards. So there was that element of chance, and right now it's whoever wins the battle gets the rewards.
Right.
So there's your element of chance. But then the mining pools came out, and it was split rewards. Yeah. And my new theory as of this moment is that's equatable to land.
Mm.
because everybody's playing, everything's going into access, everything's going into the treasury, and then the rewards are split among everybody. But anyways, this is
No, I liked it. I mean,
we are
the
this is a far departure from what we started on.
no, but I think it's worth talking about because again, you have all the different digital assets here. So yeah, maybe that's going to be part of the way Axis goes. I don't know. But staking, I mean, we talked about Axie Score, and there's so many different features of how staking Axis is actually going to be implemented long term, and all of that is still up for grabs and questions. But right now, what we have is the love potions that allow more axes to be generated, and axes themselves have a certain amount of value, and it's not related specifically to Axis. You know, it's a separate thing, and so we're going to have these different digital assets that are going to kind of perform on their own. But just wait until we have 24 different types of wood or whatever you had mentioned. We're back to the wood conversation. We just can't get away from the
let's,
wood chat.
let's speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Let's bring it way back. Let's bring it way back to the topic at hand, and
Alrighty.
this poor marketing guy who got fired for banning all their Axies today.
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh,
Wow.
somebody took the video. Somebody got fired. Um, yeah, so a couple different things. So they banned 800 Axies. Basically, this video, again, for the people listening at home, for the people who didn't see the tweet earlier, a Chinese game studio team was playing Axie Infinity, basically just farming SLP. And they scrolled through the room, and there's maybe 12 or so people, all, would you say 12 people, each with maybe four
That's
game
what it
clients on their computer?
that's what it looks like. At least 10, right? Like here we can
So,
see 5.
yeah. And so the team banned 800 Axies. And doing a little bit of simple math, what we came up with, that's about $18,000 worth of Axies that got banned today, from this one kind of SLP farm. So pretty substantial. But the more interesting thing, I think, is we were trying to figure out the actual implications, as as far as SLP price was concerned. So we did out the math there. And if you were looking at 800 Axies would make 266 teams, averaging out maybe 250 SLP per day per team. You're looking at about 66,500 SLP per day, which would be almost $2,500 US, per day. So, you know, there was a lot of concern in chat, and there's been concern, I think, from people since the scholarship programs started existing, because people are wondering what happens to this SLP that's being mined and produced and dumped on the market. But today in particular, people were like, well, why are you banning these people? They're just out to make a living like everybody else. Why shouldn't they be able to use the Axies that they made? But that's a ton of SLP, and you got to assume there's probably more than just this one group doing this stuff. And the team's got an
Right.
obligation to their users and the economy that they're building, and everybody has an obligation to make this a fair system. So while we're first starting to get going, 66,000 SLP is a ton of SLP to be dumping per day
Oh yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, so
Um,
and in the chat too, like I hadn't really realized this, and I probably should have, but I just didn't. I didn't click it together that some of these were scholar accounts. So we have these scholarships that are kind of these programs that are being offered to people, and the people who are running those, they can't know for sure who's on the other end. They just can't. We don't have that situation. We don't have KYC implemented in that way. And I don't know that we would want that. I don't know that we would want scholars having to know, either way, people offering the scholarships or the scholars themselves having to do that. I mean, that's one of the beauties of the blockchain system here. I mean, there has to be something that's figured out. And I'm sure if and I just run very, very small, very, very few smaller scholarship pools that are just with friends and family that are close, right? So I kind of know in my situation what's happening there. But, an AK or anybody else that's running some of these scholarships, all of a sudden they end up with some banned Axies, and they didn't do anything. They didn't contribute to this type of multi-boxing or anything like that, right?
And it goes even beyond just banning a few Axies, because I know for a fact there's a lot of scholarships, because I run that page on Axie Edge, just kind of saying, hey, here's some of the people that I trust who run scholarships and aren't going to scam you. But I have a lot of people who hit me up and say, hey, add me to this page. And I kind of go back and say, well, one, I don't know you, you've never been active. And two, if you run it for 30 days, talk to me then, because I know it's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
work, and a lot of people probably aren't going to make it past 30 days. Um, the reason I'm saying this, I completely lost the reason I'm saying
Well, no, I
this.
mean it's important because they're assets that people have, right? So, and
Oh, right,
yeah,
right, right. So wait, so getting back on topic real quick. Um, the important thing is so some of the more well-known scholarships that the teams may be staying in touch with to make sure that this is a legitimate program, and that they've just got such high volume that the team's just trying to kind of figure things out as we go along. But for some of these smaller scholarships that somebody might be multi-accounting on, the team doesn't know those people. They don't know
right.
what the situation is. It's very possible that whole scholarship, whoever owns that, gets shut down.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people listening who may be taking advantage of these things, and maybe
Watch
might
out.
not think it's a big deal. Well, if you are a scholar and you're multi-accounting, just know that you could potentially
Yeah.
get somebody's entire Axie investment shut down, because they don't, again, the team doesn't discriminate. They don't know what's
Yep.
going on in every single situation. So just something to be considerate of.
Yeah, and hopefully, people that are these scholars are not taking advantage and care about the people who are offering them this opportunity. I kind of get the sense that maybe they don't so much. So I don't know. My understanding though is that like the idea is that the team's going to offer some sort of rental or guild or some sort of solution that should help with all of this. But I'm not completely sure how that's going to solve the one human per account issue. BA asked us here in chat, any thoughts about land gameplay having more built-in restraints? And I think that yeah, they want to do that. I think that they want to find some way to prevent something like this. But on the other hand, like uh, big landowners, what are their options then, right? I mean, if it's not possible to do everything that's necessary to obtain all of the value from your land, if you have a lot of land, that's a different situation too. That obviously I kind of get worried about. I mean, I
Yeah,
acquired all those assets with the idea that I'm going to be able to utilize those uh, to gain the benefit.
well, Psychout's talked a few times, and I think you mentioned it on our stream on Saturday. The idea of guilds, and how that's something that's going to be built in. Is some of these larger landholders are going to be able to take advantage of somebody else's labor to accomplish tasks, and that's going to help everybody involved.
Right.
So we've heard some allusions to the fact that they're already looking at solutions to this. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes in the form of guilds. I'm kind of wondering on that side if they're, if one person can be part of multiple guilds, because I know you have land all over the place. So it would make sense for you to be able to team up with me up north,
Right.
and somebody else down south, and do
Jador,
whatever. But
all sorts of
yeah,
different people.
so just something to consider there.
Yep.
Um, Another thing that's popping up in chat is Reels mentioned, if they try to cheat, they won't care about what might happen to our assets. And while I agree with you, while I think there is a certain amount of selfishness to that whole thing, I again, speaking out to the people who might be taking advantage of these situations, if it's not worth it to the scholarship programs, if scholarship programs are getting shut down left and right because of scholars
Bad
kind of going
acts.
rogue, and
Yep.
yeah, and creating more than one, and getting accounts shut down, um, scholarship programs won't exist anymore, and then they won't have anywhere to farm. So
Right. I mean, that's the real rub, right? We want to make this available to people, to real people, and we want people to be able to use their assets in a way that is beneficial to them. At least I definitely want to see that. I don't want people having to sit on assets that are not usable in some way, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. But there has to be a balance here somehow, and it's going to be. We are at the beginning stages of the Constitutional Congress, trying to figure out how all of this is going to get sorted. And I just think that this is it's great that this is coming up, because all of these things are going to have to get sorted. We're going to have to figure out solutions that make sense long term. Okay, so back to super more positive stuff. Look at this. So we have this chart was amazing. We did talk about it just really quickly with Psych Out, but it's showing us here over this period. It was a 7-day volume, 500,000 in total volume for Axie, and then just a couple days later, I think it was 3 days later, they had a 7-day market volume that was almost 600,000, 587,000 for Axie. I just felt like we needed to show these just to show how awesome this is, how great things are going, how quickly things are turning around. But also, be prepared, everyone, for a leveling off period, right? It's only fair to say that. Like, I think that it could just keep on going and going, and we could have a 400 ETH sell for a triple mystic tomorrow. We could see a 200 ETH Genesis sell at some point, but right now it's a lull, and it's going to be driven a little bit by releases, by having a little bit more information about actually how Axis generation is going to occur within land and within battles. Having some more information is going to be important. And when we look at the roadmap, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, we may have a little bit of a leveling off period, and people ought to just be prepared for that.
Baronar, do you have the 30-day stats here too?
I do in a minute. We'll get right to it.
Okay, because it gets even better.
Yeah. No, it does.
I do want to say something about the leveling off though, and kind of going back to our last topic as well with the scholars and everything. We've seen this hockey stick growth. I'll just keep calling it what it is.
Yeah, it is parabolic.
And a part of me wonders how much of that is growth from new accounts being created from these scholarship programs or from these farms or whatever. But then you look at these numbers, and I think it continues to show the same story, which is a good sign. I don't know. I just want to throw that out there because it's been something that I've been thinking about for a few weeks and didn't quite know how to express it. But again, the numbers are still huge, and again, when he gets to that 30-day number,
yep.
I think that tells the whole story. So I'll let you move on.
Okay, so before we get there, the next one, and then we're going to look at prices, but we are going to get there. The Chainlink announcement, which I think is pretty exciting. I'm not a developer of blockchain information and programming, so to me, it's not quite so clear and obvious exactly what this is doing. But apparently, they're first implementing it with respect to Axie Origin coins. And so what this does is it's a verification of randomness that Chainlink provides, which I think is pretty important, right? Because if people are wondering if when we're breeding these Axies, if there's truly the correct randomness, because sometimes I did a 3 breeds with a pair in a row, and I'm sure it's random. I'm sure there's not any issue, but amazingly, with all 3 of those breeds, I ended up breeding one of them that was a less than 5%. It was 3 different things, but less than 5% chance to get that particular trait. And I did it 3 times in a row. Talk about frustrating, when you're not expecting that. And maybe if there's this verification of randomness, that helps people feel a little bit more confident that those RNG things are more fair. Is that what we're talking about with Chainlink? I'm not completely...
Yeah, that's basically it. I know I've been a part of a few different casino type projects, and that verified randomness is a huge topic of conversation for any of those projects that are getting off the ground. I think the most important thing here is that the team's continuously looking out for the best interest of the players and looking for that transparency, which again in lesser projects, that wouldn't be a concern at all. But there's so much randomness in this, with the breeding, like you just mentioned. The rolling of the mystics, which is where these Axie origin coins come from. There still are a fair number out there. And every single roll, for different parts, so the ears, the eyes, the mouth, the tail, whatever, each roll is its own random chance to get a mystic part, or any of the 120 parts out there. So I think it's important that the team is able to show that. And I don't recall, I know months ago I saw them talking in chat about how they needed a new solution for this. I couldn't find it when I went back to see what they were doing prior. I know in some of those casino projects I've been a part of,
right.
You can code it into the Ethereum contract, but again, it takes a lot more gas to run those contracts, because it's doing more. But two, yeah, you're missing out on that provably fair piece of it. You can't see how it was. I don't know.
Right. This just verifies it. It makes it transparent, so you can see how it goes. So I'm excited about this. I don't know if I should be more excited than I am about it, but I am excited. I think it's a good development. I think that it's going to be good for the future. I think that's awesome. So
it's just a good sign that they're taking care of us.
Yeah, I
doing
agree.
The right things.
So let's hit some tokens, and then we're going to go to those numbers you were talking about. So Axis, when we did this last, it was at just 27 cents. Now it's at basically 52 cents. It hit 67 cents. I mean, so it's at 52 cents after an 11% drop, which is incredible.
Yep.
ETH and Bitcoin are both doing great.
And there has been a little bit of churn too. I think today earlier was at 43 cents. So definitely, some ups and downs, and definitely some new entry points for people who haven't bought yet. I think it's still a good price personally, but
yeah,
my 2 cents.
Well, no, yeah, the way we are. We're both thinking this is going way higher than this. It's interesting though. There's going to be balances, right? There's going to be things that are driving the price up, and there's going to be things that are pulling the price down, and that's just the reality. And that's not going to stop. That's going to continue. And then it will even continue after everything is fully unlocked with the 270 million total tokens. Still, though, I think looking at this project and saying, okay, if Axis is a representation of the entire value of this project, which again, I'm not saying that is, I'm not saying that that's a fair way to evaluate it, because Axis is not necessarily specifically tied to that. Kind of. It was kind of funny. Psychout was pretty specific about Sky Mavis and their role, wasn't he, when we talked with him?
Yep.
And that makes sense too, because again, what does Axis reflect? Well, Axis is kind of specifically to govern the Axie Infinity experience, however, whatever that turns out to be. But anyway, again, my main point is, do you think that, again, if you're just looking at this and you look at the future, you look at what's available still, the land that's going to still be released, the potential for crafting, items, all the different things that are still to come, still going to become part of this experience, not including the SDK and specific third-party experiences that are going to be able to be developed within the land system itself and to use Axie Infinity. Do you think that this is, do you think that 52 cents or 68 or 69 cents or whatever, do you think that that ends up being a fair reflection of the total potential value of this experience? And again, as more tokens are released, that dilutes the power of the existing tokens. But regardless, like, is this a 270 million project? It's $270 million US. Again, I don't even really care about US, but that's the only way I have to evaluate it in my mind. Or is this a $2.7 billion project, or where does this land? And so, again, if you think about those things that way, this is not financial advice. Do your own research, make your own decisions. But it does seem like this token, if that's what it reflects, is incredibly a good value for quite a long time to come. But not if you're, I mean, if you're just trying to ride the waves, I think it's tough, right? If you're just trying to buy in the dips and sell in the spikes, you're probably gonna be sad when suddenly it's $2.
That's why I just buy.
Well, I know what's on my treasure. Okay. All right, small love potions. So this has been actually pretty wild thing since the Binance launch. It
Yeah,
spiked. Yeah.
I'm just bewildered that this is keeping its value here. That's all I gotta say. You can go ahead, fill in whatever
No.
analysis you had.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it, but I'm blown away.
Yeah. So O'Shiny kind of he put it pretty much the way that I was going to put it. It's such a success story. Like SLP is retaining more value than I ever expected. I think I've already said this before. Like when it was a half a cent, that kind of made sense to me. But again, the floor prices for Axies was way lower at the time. It's more now, but it's getting pressure. We'll see that slide in a little bit too. But I don't know. Maybe we've missed it a little bit. Maybe SLP has more value than I'm recognizing. Maybe the utility of being able to breed and create new Axies is even more valuable than I've recognized to this point. I mean, I kind of expected that this was going to go back down to 28 cents. And I'll be honest, I figured it was at the top a couple times, and I've sold some. Not tons and tons, but some, because I have to breed. I'm not gonna let go of the vast majority of my SLP stock because I'm waiting for Ronin or low gas, right? But maybe I didn't make that great of a move because maybe we're not going down. I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen for sure? But it does feel like it feels high to me. But God, I don't know. It stayed this way for a week now.
Yeah, I still think it feels high. You know, the one thing that I'm watching is the current price of Axies, and also the number of new people coming in and who will need to buy Axies. You know, obviously we've had huge growth, so a lot more people are needing Axies, yet the price of Axies keeps going down. You know, a couple weeks ago it was at zero point zero 0.06 ETH, which was the floor, and today it was at zero point zero 0.04.
Right,
So
right,
I'm
right.
I'm I'm kind of surprised to see the price of SLP going up when the price of Axies is going down. Does that just mean
Significantly
more and
too.
more people are you know kind of dipping their toes in? They're maybe not 100% fulfilled with just battling and are breeding as well as part of the game? Because I think in the past, you know, only a small subset of users were actually doing that much breeding, that much to move the market is what I'm kind of referring to.
Hey,
Um,
Jay's throwing shade at BEP and Chaz and chat. He's
they're
calling them dumpers, man.
they're
And
dumping on the
and
market.
something's happening though. Like I agree, something's happening. Like there's a lot of breeding going on. Whenever we get dips, and people are selling, but I don't know. Like I don't know what's going to happen with floor axes. I don't know what's going to happen with the evolutions and the branch system for evolutions. Um, Maybe these axes have more value than we're recognizing. Even the floor axes. I don't know.
So I do have a guess on that too about why the price is going down even while we're getting more users. And I think that a lot of people still are coming in and not knowing what to buy to be
Yeah,
successful in PvP or PvE. And so I think that they're buying whatever looks cheap or you know whatever's okay. And they're either getting fed, you know, some people are either getting fed up and selling and you know, hey, this game's not for me because they don't have a good team, or they realize that okay, I need a better team. Let's sell one of these that's not working, and pick something else up
right.
quicker. So because there's a few more people doing that than you know buying or breeding, you know they're trying to move the product quick and listing it for a low price. So
Four
that's my
cent.
theory.
Maybe I'm gonna start just calling ETH and cents. We'll call them 4 cent 4 ETH 4 cent. God, how is that? 4 cent axes. Kind of like the 25 cent Arctics, right? Going with the
That's sure
0.25. I mean, people are just trying to flip them and stuff. They were,
right.
but maybe they're gonna find out that that wasn't such a great idea. I don't know. It's something to think about. Something again, like for me, and I think you too enjoy, like, we're just trying to probe all of these different possibilities of what may come. And we don't know, but we're here to speculate. We're here to try to
Just trying to figure it
make people
out.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're here in the first place is there's not enough deep conversations about why this stuff works the way it does. And I'm sure somebody's put a whole lot of analysis into it and God knows I've thought a lot about it on my own, but it's really hard to probe into exactly what's going on, without having these conversations. So if anybody's got
Yeah.
any ideas, feel free to
Oh yeah, we
enlighten
want to
us.
talk about it. That I mean, that's why it's Axie Chat. Okay. So whoa, like again, if depending on your view of origin axes and what the potential is for origin axes, like this seems like a pretty good price for the whoa right now. I
Yeah.
don't because I don't see origins for much less than an ETH, and this is significantly less than an ETH right now, right?
Yep, and I called this one last week at 340, I think, and
Noise.
it went up to 466 yesterday. But I think the price of Axis was low and people are probably trying to catch that a little bit. Um, so I mean, again, there's right now we're looking at maybe 7, 8 different markets plus land plus items plus you know specialty axes that people are trying to catch the lows and ride the highs. So who knows why this is moving the way it is? But yeah, I agree with you. There's still room to move here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's this chart. Weiss has actually been paying attention to this for a long time. So if you go back, what you'll see here is uh, the first 30-day one shows the total ETH volume in terms of USD at just over 200,000, and he was elated, like he posted this tweet, like he tweeted this out. He twittered to sorry. Yeah. Anyway,
Guys, we're dealing with old people here.
he tweets this out, and I mean, I think I retweeted it when it first came out. Like I was like, "Holy crap! We had 30-day volume of 200,000." Well, just move your eyes to the right hand side, folks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. So 30-day volume when Weiss put this up, and it's just the same. I think it was today because I pulled it up too in the market in the dashboard
Yep.
that we have. 4 million USD in the last 30 days.
Yeah, and it's actually at 4,100,000 now. So we're
Wow.
still moving up.
Wow.
And this is what I was referring to earlier, right? Because we can look at the hockey stick growth of users and assume that a good portion of those are probably coming from scholarships or some of these farms or maybe some botting or whatever. But then you look at these numbers moving and it's a completely different story.
And it
And
is true. So, I mean, Enforcer points out that ETH has increased a lot too. So, I mean, if you look at that, it's
that's a
basically
good
10
point.
times it's basically 10 times what it was. And but we deal with ETH, guys. So, if the value of ETH goes up, that means, I mean, it depends on how you view all these things. You know, I think Enforcer's point's well taken, and that is like it's 10 times. That's incredible when you look at the ETH
Right.
amount.
10 times in ETH, 20 times in dollar value.
Right, exactly. And I don't know
Um,
what's happening with ETH. I mean, we're not here to really talk about ETH, but you see Bitcoin doing what it's doing. There's a strong argument that ETH is significantly undervalued when you look at the true nature of the two different cryptocurrencies. I don't know. I'm not a hater of anything, but it just seems like ETH has so much more potential upside than Bitcoin does. Frankly, I mean, Bitcoin's the first, and it's the store of value, and I'm not throwing any shade at Bitcoin at all, but it does feel like ETH has a lot of upside potential.
yeah. The other thing I want to do while we're looking at this chart too is you guys know how I like comparing things to the Axis token model that Delphi put out. And one of the interesting things is so last week I mentioned that we're far and above where our weekly users should be at this point according to their kind of valuation chart. Where I think they said that we should be at 15,000 users by December 2021, if I recall correctly. Um, and so right now, based on the revenue chart, now we're looking at $4 million. They didn't expect us to hit $3 million annual revenue um, until year two. Although I guess that's not accurate because we got to take their fee into account.
Right.
Um, let's back this up one sec because their year one is $315,000. If you take that $4 million times their point oh, their 4.2%
Yep.
income, we're at 168. So in this one month, okay, my point still makes sense. In this one month, we're more than half of what they were expecting for the total year
Yeah.
annual revenue. So
Till the end of next
still
year. Yeah.
until the end of their first year in business, I guess. And again, we could say maybe that's not started until land's released, or maybe that wasn't
Yeah.
started until access was released. We don't really know when their starting point is, but I still think that that's a pretty
Well,
cool benchmark that we're way ahead of.
it is. I mean, when you look at the white paper, day zero is pretty clearly and obviously the public sale.
Right.
So unless they had some mistake in how they were sorting that out, day zero was the public sale. And so we kind of know when that was, and that was you know not that long ago, which is incredible. So, and somebody in chat asks, hold ETH or hold Axis. And, we're not here to make any of those sorts of decisions. But what you got to ask yourself is, like, what has the most upside potential? Then make your own call on what you think you want to do. So, and I said it when I was on with Psych Out and Enjoi on Saturday, like, you'll pry my access out of my cold dead hands. I mean, I'm not just strong hands. I'm like dead hands on Axis right now. So I mean, it's a good thing they have staking, or it would just sit in my treasure. Okay, so I thought this was a great graphic I pulled off of Axie World, and it's shown us that we are on the cusp now of 18,000 players, almost in a 30-day period. Almost has 7,000 new players. That's almost I don't know, it's close to a doubling of the total player pool, and that doesn't seem to be slowing down. What effect do you think that things like the ban with the multi boxers has? I think that actually will encourage more participants. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Enjoy?
I don't know if that would discourage or encourage people. I don't know if that's even a factor, really.
Okay.
I think that it's important that they, get that figured out because the more we grow and the more ways to earn money here, the more likely those programs are going to keep popping up. And, again, in order for our economy to stay healthy, that stuff needs to be remedied as quick as possible. Um,
And I don't know how
I
they're measuring players too. I mean, I guess that's kind of one of my points is, are we getting a bunch of players because we got a bunch of violators of the TOS out there that are, yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
I think that's definitely the case, which is why I'm saying be careful about these numbers a little bit. But I can't imagine it's a huge percentage of it. Um, again, as we grow, the likelihood of a lot more of those projects popping up, whenever there's something that's profitable, people tend to pop up and try and take advantage of it.
Yep.
But I also think that the larger this gets, the more attention we're going to get, and the bigger we're going to grow as well. Um, so I don't know. I think it's a cool stat. It's something to keep an eye on. But again, I'm much more focused on the numbers that are coming in because those
Right.
numbers are what's actually affecting our access worth. And
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. Well, so the Waxy Smackathon 2 happened, and as much as we all hate to admit it, our royal court jester Indus managed to pull off the win. I don't know how. It
our
must have been
jester,
stacked. I don't know how. I'm just kidding. Indus is
dude, I
obviously incredible. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you saw it, I think his first round, he man, I think he got three crits in a row to take the lead, and I think he maybe lost one round until the very last the last game. Yeah, he crushed the whole tournament. He did a great job. I think it's his first major Axie tournament win, so he's pretty stoked. And we do have some news about him as well, don't we?
So we're gonna do another Axie Chat extra this Saturday, and it works out well for where Indus is, where and where Psych Out is too. And so yeah, we're gonna talk to Indus and get his insights, and I'm gonna watch him beat you probably, and probably watch him beat me.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun time. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so guys, one of the things that we wanted to do with this Axie Chat Extra is, again, this is a great time for me and Baronar. We're in the States. It makes sense because we're done with the workday. But a lot of people on the other side of the pond can't necessarily make it because it's the middle of the night. I know a lot of you guys are staying up late. So in order for us to interview a lot of people that we want to talk with, or just have conversations, Axie Chat, it makes sense to occasionally do additional weekend shows on their own time. So they're gonna be fluctuating in time. It's not always gonna be the same time. This last week we did 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Eastern for Psych Out, which was his 11 p.m. And for Indus this week we're doing 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So,
Perfect.
yeah, guys, stay tuned. Hop in there. One of my goals, again, a lot of the new people coming in, they're having a hard time picking out their first team.
Yep.
And this has always kind of been the one that we point people to. So digging in again, and Z did a great job when we talked with him a few weeks back. But digging in and seeing how he kind of guides people, or how he picks out some of these new teams for new players, I think is really important. Have him talk us through maybe what his strategy in battle is when he first steps in would be cool. So again, digging into some of those basics, and just taking it from there, I think is going to be helpful for a lot
Yep.
of people.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. So, and congrats, Indus. Oh, I know that you usually listen to our replays, so hopefully you're listening to us. Reluctantly give you kudos. Alrighty, no, I'm just kidding around. Indus is great. Okay, just wanted to quickly point out T-Pen's Turkey Tussle. Just trying to make people aware of the different things coming up. Britt put in the chat something about maybe RC's Axis Jam, and I haven't heard about that one, so I don't have a slide for that one. But we'll be sure to announce that. Hopefully it's not happening immediately, and we've missed the opportunity. But on this one, I just wanted to let people know that right now we have also, in addition to the payback from the entry fees, there's also 250 bonus access from me and Axie Chat, 250 bonus from Jiho, and a Woe token. And then also we've got Ed has donated some Axies, and oh, okay. RC has an Axis Jam. Oh, okay. I'm excited to sort that one out. Have you heard that one, Enjoi?
No, I haven't. Guys, I'm also keeping a list of events. I threw it up in the chat. It's
Perfect.
axieedge.com/events. RC, hit me up and I'll throw yours on there. Guys, I'm keeping a list of tournaments. I'm throwing the Axie chats on there. I'm throwing seasons. People are always asking when the next season starts, when it ends. So keep an eye on that. And again, if anybody has stuff going on that they want to throw up there, or promote, let me know. We'll throw that up there as well.
So in
Um,
addition to the 10 larvae, sorry, but for the T-Pens tussle, there's also another 250 axis from Ed that's being included. So this is going to be well, yeah, okay. So yeah, if I'm involved with helping organize a competition, I guess I'll give up a little bit of my axis as well. So, uh, but again, like the whole point is just like what Enjoy was saying. Like he's got this great site, AxieEdge.com, and you got to go there and check it out because he's doing a great job of compiling all this information. And it's you're doing a great job, Enjoy. And again, like we're doing this to encourage people to be involved, to reward people who are showing excellence in their play and being involved with the community. I mean, all this is just awesome. It's just great stuff.
and you mentioned a lot of people who have chipped into that T-Pens Turkey Tussle. You know, again, shout out to the community. After the last session, I actually got a message in Discord from another community member. I got a whiz. And he's actually sponsored stuff in the past for us. But
Yeah.
he's like, "Yo, I'll throw in 250 access as well." So
Oh,
you know,
wow.
people hear this stuff and they wanna participate. They want to help the space grow. So again, no pressure of anybody to submit or help out with this sort of stuff. I just think it's really cool that people want to help.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, so it's just going to be a great experience, and I'm excited to see. T-Pen is a great streamer. He's done a lot of good stuff on the streaming, and he's working hard with with a team that's not meta, and it's one that he's kind of proud of. But it's amazing what he's able to do with kind of an off brand kind of team. So, check out his stream when you get an opportunity and see it. But I'm excited for his commentation because he's a great commentator. And if you look at this, like he's got it arranged where you're going to get a lot of games, you're going to get a lot of exposure and have a great time. It's going to be fun. So, all right, enough said about that. So, what we kind of wanted to talk about today, beyond all the news and everything, is just where are these things headed, and do we have any ideas of time frames? And we'll try to keep it. We'll try to keep this stuff tight because we already past an hour into this, but God, we just have such a good time. Enjoy talking
Dude,
about this.
we just need to throw away our hour-long Axie
Yeah,
Chat
I agree.
ideals. These things have never, the last like seven we've done have not even been close to an hour.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for sticking
Yeah,
with us.
thanks. Hopefully you're having a great time. Hopefully that's why you're here. So we're having a great time for sure. So I just wanted to start this off with what do we have? This is from the infographic. What are Axie Infinity Shards? Like, what is Axis? And again, it's governance. It's going to allow for collection of weekly rewards, allow people to stake tokens, participate in governance, and play the game. Access is going to be able to be purchased or found playing various Axie Infinity games. And I thought that was interesting because, it's not just land. There's going to be ways to earn this, I'm assuming, from battles. And did you notice that Psychout was pretty evasive when I asked him about the adventure mode, the PvE adventure mode, and whether that was going to be replaced by land?
Yeah, he,
And
you
I
know,
asked him too about small love potions coming from land.
they're really good at keeping their lips sealed, is all I
Yeah,
have
they
to
are.
say. They just won't share anything if they're not ready to leak it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, all that stuff's really interesting. So, this was the slide that I had up for a minute. That, again, my point of putting this together is kind of trying to kind of indicate some of the factors that are going to push Axis token value up and some of the factors that are going to push the value of Axis token down. Okay. And then there's also just kind of the questions of how do we make sure we have sufficient liquidity, and what are the use cases that are going to allow access to be circulated within an economy. And I think these things are really important to kind of consider and think about. And this is why I'm kind of wondering if we aren't going into a leveling off phase of values of Axie Infinity, because we do have quite a bit of Axis supply out there right now. You can get it
Hmm.
from Binance, you can get it from the liquidity pool, but we don't have any real use case for Axis yet. So right
Right.
now, it is just straight a speculative purchase to acquire Axis tokens. And how far does that go? Are people willing to buy it at 75 cents? Are people willing to pay $1 for a speculative use token? And I don't know. I don't know where that level gets to.
Yeah, and I think they've been pretty clear all along that the goal with this is going to be the store of value. This is going to be the token that's meant to go up. Um, yeah, I think you have a lot of good points here. The staking and the return from staking is a good reason for people to hold on to it. But people holding on to things doesn't necessarily make the price
It
go
has to
up.
have a return.
Well,
So
I mean,
only
it's
if the staking has a return will people want to stake it further, right?
right, but if the stake, so on your downside,
Yeah, yeah.
the way the market works is people selling into the market makes the price go down, and or more people buying makes the price go up.
Yeah.
So
So
if you're staking and you're getting the return directly back into your account and you're selling that as income, then technically, if there's not a lot of people buying, the price would go down. So that
yep.
doesn't necessarily help. Um, you know,
Unless people are acquiring it to stake. So I mean,
it,
that was my kind of point. If the staking return is enough, people will acquire it simply to put it into the staking pool, which then reduces availability, right? So it has
right.
that effect of reducing supply.
Yeah, I mean, my point, I think, was that their goal seems to be they want you to hold this. They want it to have value. They don't want it to be something that is going to be constantly in circulation, despite the fact that people are earning it as a gameplay asset. Same thing with SLP right now, right? People play the game, they earn SLP, and they dump it on the market to buy other stuff.
Right.
That's not what they're trying to do here, which is why he kind of made a point about this payment model, right? Because if
Right.
people are just paying to buy stuff, the owners of the store sell it. It's the same reason why PayPal accepting Bitcoin right now for all of their couple 100,000 stores or whatever it is isn't necessarily a
Right.
driver for people to buy
Acquire Bitcoin.
Bitcoin,
Why?
because
You're
the
right.
second these owners have it, they change it over to US dollar and to pay
Well,
their
and not
bills,
only that,
whatever.
like, why pay a PayPal fee on a currency that actually helps you avoid and reduce those fees?
Sure.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
There's a lot of
Anyway,
pieces to it.
yeah, and there's a lot of pieces to this, and this is obviously not meant to be a complete story, but I guess this is kind of my argument that at least in the short term, I mean, I'm not saying a payment token is the way to go, but I do think having payment features with the token that does some of these other things probably has some benefit. So, like the sand experience, for example, was way interesting. People are acquiring sand just to participate in land. That's going to drive the price of that token up. I don't care what you say. It did. We know it did. And then people sold when they couldn't acquire land and they lost 40+% value. And so if to buy go, shells, resources in order to craft things, if you're required to use Axis to do that, well,
Well,
it's going to
listen,
have an effect on the economy of Axis.
I'm going to simplify this way down for everybody. Here's my thoughts on it. Is Axis acts more like a stock than anything.
Yeah.
Axis is your shares in Axie Infinity and the money that's in the treasury. That's what it is. So the people who are understanding that, they're playing the game, they're trading in their items, they're trading in their wood, because we always go back to wood. They're trading in their shells, their SLP.
I
Everything's
tried to
moving.
avoid it, man.
Everything's moving towards Axis. So there's your buying power.
Yeah.
The stability is the money in the treasury and the returns, aka dividends. This is very close to traditional financial markets, which have a proven model. Yes, there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it, but it gets its value from what's in the treasury. So us being a popular game with that $4 million way ahead of schedule, being spent, turning into $168,000 over the course of the month in the treasury, that's where your access value is coming from. So I think the longer this goes on and the longer we see these growth cycles and the longer we can kind of do that quick math to see how much is going in the treasury, the quicker we'll be able to see what the actual value is. But right now, you asked whether or not people are just speculating on the price, and in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But in reality, they're speculating on whether or not Axie's going to be as
Valuable.
successful as all of us think it's going to be.
Correct.
And I think what we've seen so far over the last 5-6 months, and again, I've been here for a long time, and there's definitely been some lulls, but over the last 5-6 months, things have been astronomical. We've taken over the number one seat in like basically all of crypto in terms of growth, and and they've definitely proven themselves in terms of development. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
I
so
again, not
yep.
financial advice, but I can't see it at this stage in the game not being successful. Like I just don't think it's a speculative token right now.
Oh,
There's
I see
real
what you're
money
saying.
backing it.
You're saying, yeah, okay. I get you. I see what you're saying. One thing to realize though, you know, I wonder what impact, if any, if people are thinking about it. I would presume they are. But the retro gift, as Jiho likes to call it, the airdrop that we normally, you know, call these sorts of things, that will have an impact because there will be tokens coming. We have no idea how many. We have
Sure.
no idea. It sounded like Jiho said somewhere, it might have been in one of the interviews, that they used a 50 cent amount in order to compute kind of the retro gift. I think that was on that one interview that he, I can't remember where that came from actually, but I swear I remember. I'm doing the old man thing again. But regardless, like that is going to have an impact on the token because it will increase the supply. But other things are going to increase the supply and have an effect too. So when we look at the allocation schedule, again, and I want your take on this, Enjoy. Like, we already know that we're going to have 270 million tokens. We already know that the initial estimate of what's going to be available is right around 60 million, just a little bit under 60 million. That's not what's available right now. That would require that all of the unlocked tokens in play to earn suddenly became circulating tokens, which they are
Hmm.
not right now. And I need to get on and check the Axis ether scan. I haven't checked that for a while and just see kind of what's going on in there. Um, but, you know, as more tokens come available, it's going to have an impact. And right now, I feel like there's more tokens coming available, but not a use case or earning case or staking case or any of that. And that is going to lead to some cool down, cool off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could affect, again, there's that balance between the buying and the selling power. But in reality, the number of tokens available doesn't change the price.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't affect the fundamentals.
Everybody should be
What it
thinking in terms of the cap.
what it does is lower the float. If there's less tokens in circulation, it lowers the float. And again, I'm getting into, traditional stock stuff here.
Yep.
So don't mean to, if anybody's glazing over, I apologize. But all that a low float means, like, so if we're locking up our tokens, it's a good thing, but all it does is make more volatility. Lower float makes more volatility. It makes, if there's a buy, it jumps higher. If there's
Right.
a sell, it jumps lower. I don't know what that means in terms of Uniswap. Uniswap's still pretty new.
Yeah.
And technically, the more locked up in the liquidity pool, the less those jumps should be. So that'll be interesting to see. But
Yeah.
again, I'm not so worried about how much is locked up, other than you know I don't want there to be a whole lot of competition with this whole Axie score lottery system.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Right.
all of it's way interesting. And again, I think it's important that we talk about these things and kind of try to have an idea of what to expect and really analyze um, some of the impact that the different features of the white paper are going to have. Again, just so that maybe we can think about things beforehand. So when we talked with Psych Out, I mean, I think this roadmap is probably going to be on every single one of our sets of slides until we start getting releases. He sounded like he was still good with the roadmap, right?
Yeah, he sounded like all of this was. I mean, again, talking to him and Jiho, it seems like all this stuff is still probably ahead of schedule, but he did sound like Ronin was actually a little delayed. Did you get that same feeling, or
Yeah,
was that
that's
just me?
why I mean, it was just a sense I got. We could be totally wrong on that, but that was kind of
Right.
the same sense I got was that they maybe had run into a couple tricky things that they still felt like they were going to be able to sort it out. But no, I kind of agree with you. That's got me a little worried because at least looking at this roadmap, right, it looks like Ronin's kind of the key.
I kind of disagree though.
Okay, that's why we
Ronan's
talk about it.
Ronan's a huge piece of it. Um, again, he made a huge clarifying statement that is, proceeds of Ronin goes to the Axie or to the Sky Mavis team, not necessarily part of Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is utilizing it. So I think that's important for everybody to be aware of if you're not already.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
you know,
Very clear.
in terms of Ronin affecting your current holdings or, you know, gameplay, you know, it doesn't. The gameplay, you know, the actual land gameplay isn't looking to be released until Q2. So and I don't think most of that stuff, like, they need to get a lot in place for Ronin to be successful. They need to make the wallet successful. They need to get the security right. They need to make sure everything transfers over properly. They need to make sure it handles the huge load of users. Like, a lot has to go into that to make sure it's, you know, everything is run smoothly once they transition over. Um, and again, you know, until land gameplay is really out, which is when we're going to start seeing all these extra tokens and, you know, all this stuff, I don't know that Ronin's really hugely necessary. So that pushing a few months doesn't seem like a huge deal to me. Um, Other than, you know, hey, potentially this whole roadmap might push. But also got the feeling that, you know, there's a team working on Ronin, there's a team working on Battle V2, there's a team working on Land. So if one pushes, I don't think it really affects too much.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I'm just I'm hopeful. I do feel. I thought Duckface was going to tell us for sure, like when.
Stop reading chat.
I'm just hoping. Anyway, so okay. My point here is that just don't be surprised if there's a little bit of cooling off, because it doesn't look like we're going to get stuff immediately. It's not happening tomorrow or in the next week. I know that Jiho had said weeks before, not months, but we just have to wait to see, you know. So I just wanted to talk quickly about the snapshot. Put up on the screen is what I have up here, just exactly what I could find about the snapshot so far with respect to the retro gift. The little snip in white, that's taken from the actual release of information about the Axis Binance launch. It just says we've taken a surprise snapshot to distribute access to past Axie players based on in-game activity. This access will be claimable in the future. Then Jiho in Discord kind of gave a little bit more information. Ultimately, I think that the important part of that is that it's going to be kind of, some portion of it will be immediate, some portion will be over time. That's all I really wanted to say more about that, but I just wanted people to know.
Yep. And a lot of people have been asking, when are we getting these rewards? We still don't know. I think, you know, maybe Christmas is in play. I think
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah, that'd be an
you know,
awesome.
it'd
Yeah.
be an awesome Christmas present.
Oh my
The other
goodness.
piece of that though is, you know, if they're doing this, you know, unlocking periods, I guess, you know, maybe that's something that they have built into Ronin, uh, as part of the staking system. So I don't know. It's possible, that might still be a ways out.
I gotta stop reading chat.
You guys have to read
Oh my
chat.
gosh. Okay, so this next one is just again realizing that there's two main goals here that the team states in the white paper about Axie Infinity Shards with respect to players of the game and the developers, and that is to reward players for interacting with Axie Infinity while incentivizing them to hold their tokens to claim additional rewards, and then to decentralize the ownership and governance of Axie Infinity. Again, not Sky Mavis, Axie Infinity, the experience itself. The reason I thought that this was important was I think it's important that we keep the principles and goals of all of these things in mind. I think that helps us to see kind of where things are going and what's taking place here. So keep these things in mind. I think that if we pay attention to what the stated goals are, it will help us kind of track how things are developing and how they're moving forward.
Yeah, and again, this is important because we've got so many people joining the community every single week. You know, and a lot of these people haven't been around that long. They don't maybe know that land is even a thing. They don't know what the goal of Axie Infinity Shards are. They just heard that, hey, we can battle these pets and get these things called SLP and sell it for money. So, you know, again, kind of like Baronar said, keeping all this stuff top of mind and just out there for people to access and understand kind of what the eventual plan is, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so um, I'm going to skip this for now. The point of that was the digital nation stuff, and we already talked about that. And really, I think the next question is like, so with respect to this token for players, like how do we earn this, and when is it going to happen, right? what's crazy is the unlocking portion for the play to earn is already in place. It's already starting. It started as of day 0. So presumably by the time we actually get land play, we may be close to month 6. So there could be, when you add this up, it's almost 20 million tokens available for play to earn right out of the gates for land. And again, though, it sounds like competing in the arena and winning matches. So battles is going to be a way to earn access tokens as well. And that's kind of why I keep pushing about land allowing for potions of some, the love potions, whether they're small or medium or normal or large or, infinity sized love potions. It doesn't really matter. It just seems to me like it makes sense that if access is being earned through the battling system, that love potions seem like they should be able to be earned through the land. And I've just been kind of pushing for verification on that. But again, yeah, go ahead.
Where did you get this list?
This is right out of the white paper. This is under the play to earn.
The reason I'm asking is because I don't know if I've ever seen that part that says using the Axie Infinity marketplace. Does that mean that occasionally you buy something and you might all of a sudden just get a few access tokens?
I don't understand what that is. And I don't understand if it's like a volume thing, which it could be. If you sell some amount of land items, Axies, whatever.
Well, and that's something that they have said, right? Is that, or maybe Jiho mentioned that they're hoping, or maybe not hoping, but that having more like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Incentive?
It's not necessarily. No, it's not necessarily like, okay, I won an arena match like right now and you win SLP. More like weekly goals and stuff like that. Achievements, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, or sustained incentives. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I don't know. And again, they want people to use the marketplace because using the marketplace is going to allow the community chest to continue to grow as well. Anyway, again, just trying to forecast where things are going. When is it going to happen? It looks like there's going to be quite a few tokens available, but how are those going to be implemented as far as rewards? Well, there's a list. What does that actually mean? I mean, I the one I really like, using future Axie products that haven't been announced yet.
Right. I mean, mind blown. I have no idea there. The other important thing to take from the psych out conversation was that these rewards or these tokens may unlock, but they're not going to spend them all necessarily within that period. So that day 0 to month 3 mark, they're not necessarily going to gift all those 4,720 or whatever, 4,725,000 tokens out. They may wait for a more opportune time.
But he was very specific that they do intend to encourage and reward early adopters. So there's going to be a balance there for sure. Okay, quickly through the marketplace. We do see a little bit of leveling off. So everything we've talked to kind of builds up to this actual graphic. Savannah, just a little reduced. Forest, just a little reduced. Arctic, just a little reduced. But on the other hand, Mystic has increased. So that's an interesting statement too. It seems like maybe the more valuable assets are tending to become more valuable, but we'll look at the Mystic Axies and so forth too to get a sense of this. I think again, this is healthy. There's a little bit less available in the market right now than there was last week. But I think that's okay too. I think that a bunch of those might have been mine, to be honest. I pulled everything that I had off. And I had a few listed. So Genesis, there's an 85 ETH Genesis when I pulled this up, which kind of surprised me. Fuzzy Kingdom must be looking to get some ETH. So that's probably the closest to the last sale price that we've seen for a while now, right? I'm trying to remember the highest sale price for a Genesis, and it seemed like it was the upper 70s.
Take it down quick. Take it down.
Bring it further down.
I got to look into my wallet real quick before we start telling people this.
Okay. So Axi prices. We talked about this a little bit too. Actually, the floor has descended a little bit. The total number of Axies increased for sale. That's not a terrible floor Axie. When you look at these, I mean, a bumpy at 4.5 cents,
Yeah,
ETH cents.
and and I, again, I think the important thing, or an important thing to remember here is that we don't know what land gameplay is going to be like. We don't know if there's going to be roles or utility for crappy axes.
Yeah,
Uh, we,
right,
we
exactly.
and we also don't know what evolution's going to be. So, I see these and I think, as much as Indus is going to kill me for buying one of these things and make fun of me in chat, this might be a good buying opportunity just to have some
Have
worker
some.
bees.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tough. I mean, I did the same thing when it was lower. I just started acquiring a whole bunch. So, yeah. And when you look at SLP prices, like even to just generate a crappy Axie, um, it's expensive. Okay, going to the Mystics now. Mystic price actually increased. For a minute, you could buy a Mystic. A couple of them were for sale that were just under 5 ETH. Now we're over 6.4 ish for the single
Nice.
Mystics. Yep, I think this is healthy. This is the right direction. I was surprised to see single Mystic Axies price decrease at all. I have in my mind a higher number for these.
And again, guys, keep an eye out for deals. I know that Jay picked one up
2.9,
for
right?
like 2.9. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people list these things, misprice them. They don't know what the value is. They throw them out there because they haven't been in the community for, months. Um, there's always deals to be had. And again, there's a lot of different markets to keep an eye on, whether it's Mystic Axes or double Mystic Axes or SLP or whatever. There's always stuff that's, lower than it should be. So,
Yeah. Double Mystics. Actually, there's I think a great deal. I can't remember. I think that this one was. Is it SBD that's selling this? I think SBD's trying to get some ETH maybe to rock some Axis purchases. I don't know for sure, but that's a pretty Axie. I mean, it's a weird one for a plant, but gal, I love that. I love the crystal hermit. So pretty. Okay, and then the triples. I think again this one. I think this one's SBD too. God, that is a gorgeous Axie. If I had a couple hundred ETH on me, I think that that's a really pretty one. Like, and lots of
it is three active
pretty
parts.
pure.
It's nice. Yep.
Yeah. And then the other two parts. I guess there's one beast part, but the other two are health parts, plant parts. So I don't know. That's a gorgeous one. I really like the Namek or however you say the carrot tail on that carrot hammer on that one.
Namek carrot. Yep.
Namek. Yep. Just real quick on the items, we had some relaxation on the item floor as well. So commons dropped below 0.008 for a minute, and I feel like anytime it's below there, I should just be buying. I haven't yet, but if it's there for much longer, it will. Rares below 0.01, that's kind of my target there as well, but I'm not in a rush. I guess we'll see what happens. And then epics feel like they should be kind of 0.1, but again, NFA, DYOR, just kind of looking at those floors. Mystics seem like they're still a good deal, but they did increase a little bit from last week. They're basically at 75 ETH cents. All right. Well, this is where it's going, boys and girls, guys and gals. We're headed to the moon. Don't know what's going to happen
Still,
the rest of this month. What do you think? We going to see anything major?
dude, I don't know. I feel like I need a break. I need a break from all the news. Don't tell them that. I'll gladly take more news.
No, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Dude, I don't know. I'm just watching the markets. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see, do we keep pulling new users in when we don't really have any big releases coming up? Like, it doesn't make sense to me when we're so far away from Battles version 2 to keep marketing hard. But that's not my job, so I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. What do you think?
You know, I feel like sometimes, especially with the last development update, I felt like they really were underplaying Ronin, but then Psych Out kind of made me feel like maybe there are a little bit more hangups with Ronan than I realized. I was kind of on the verge of saying I think we see Ronan this month, but now I'm not as sure where things go. I think based on what Psych Out said too, though, I think they're closer on battles than I realized. You know,
Yeah.
didn't you feel like that?
I mean, it sounds like battles and land are going way better than
Yeah,
I had anticipated.
I totally agree with that. Like I was asking him specific questions and like he didn't say like he didn't know. He said like he wasn't going to say, which to me is different. I kind of pay close attention to that. And to me, it felt like more like he did kind of know the answers to some of that with respect to like talent tree and customization, but was not going to give us any information. And that's a little bit different than I guess we'll just have to see how those things develop, which is what we get when I feel like they don't have it quite ready to go yet. Um, I think that on land, it's just a question of how many features do they want in a initial alpha community release, right? Because it seems like it almost is in a position where it could be released already, but they have certain goals, right? Or am I overstating?
No, I think I don't know. It sounds like, so for Battles version 2, it sounds like they're rolling it out to the whole, the whole Sky Mavis team to test with, which is a good sign. That means that all the features are built in. He was psyched about um, some logging or whatever. I don't
Battle
remember.
log. How could combat log?
Battle
I've
combat log. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's okay, but I mean, for me, that was I am the same. Like, it
But
drives
my
me nuts that I don't know if my combos went off.
but my point is it sounds like all the features are built into
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
It sounds like everything's done. They just need to test it, make sure there's not a whole bunch of bugs, like they're ready to roll.
Yeah.
Um, I think that land would be in this, like land needs to be in the same place before they release, and I don't think Jiho's played with it. Sounds like Psych Out's played with it. But I feel like they'd be telling us that all of the internal team is now playing and doing all this stuff, but they're still, they just got Chimera on the map.
Right.
Sorry, guys, I needed
Supposedly
to double check my pronunciation before saying that. But yeah, so
spawning
supposedly,
on the
so
map, which is a little
it
different
sounds
than just being on the map, right?
right, but it sounds like they're still adding like pretty, I don't know, basic features, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've got everything worked out, but they're still adding it. So I still think we've got a little bit of time there, but um, yeah, I don't know. At this
Yeah.
point, I'm psyched for Battles V2, man. That's coming up. It sounds like it's pretty close, and it sounds fun.
So yeah, I don't know. Are we going to get any of these in November? I'm kind of thinking no. I agree with you, Enjoy. Probably not. Um, but I think Ronan by the end of the year. I do wonder about the retro gift. I kind of have a feeling that they need a better dashboard, and it may have to be that staking dashboard before they can really handle that type of retro gift that's partially now and partially over time. I guess they could do the portion that's now.
Right.
Um,
That
Clearly, they
that's
can
kind
do
of
that.
that's kind of my thoughts too. And the good news is it sounded like we may be able to stake the piece that's kept
Right?
over, or the piece
Sounded
that's
like it.
held. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's something that a lot of people have been asking about, and we still don't have a defined answer. But
All right. Hey, we went way over an hour, but hey, we had a
yeah,
great time. Talked about a lot of stuff. Probably offended a lot of people, but that's just the way we roll. So, just kidding. Anyway, invite all your Muggle friends to come join Axie Chat and learn more about Axies and convert over to being a passionate Axie believer, as Psych Out kind of put it before too. So
everyone, more importantly, invite your non-Axie friends, invite your new Axie friends, invite people who don't have a team yet to come check out the Axie Chat this Saturday with Indus, so they can learn all about picking their first team, and
absolutely,
get themselves off to a winning head start.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out with us. God, we have such a good time. The chat just was killing me today. I apologize if anything came off weird in the podcast, but it's a great time, and we know there's time constraints and time zones and different things. But thanks to everybody who can come and hang out and be part of this Axie gang here. We're all gonna go check out RC's Axie Jam and find out what that little rap is about. I guess I'm excited now. So anyway, hey, have a great time out there. Be good. Enjoy. Anything you want to add before we sign off?
No, nothing for me. Take care,
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. Take care. Hey, have a great day in Lunasia. Everybody, take care. See ya.